I'm just saying that on Tisha B'Av, last year I spoke, and hopefully this Tisha B'Av again I'll speak. So I say it's broadcast internationally. So my brother who's watching this, I think he saw it last year. Now the story is that was a Talmud in the yeshiva. His name is Binyamin. He's Chinese, a Chinese ger, and he learned 2 years in the center. I think during that time he did the entire Mishnayos in English. And now he lives in Australia. He got married after he got married here, went back to Australia. After 4 years had a son, and now he just had a daughter. And I keep in touch with him. Anyway, so I gave the shiur here from 4:30 to 5. And in the afternoon, which in Australia was 11:30 to 12. They're ahead. So it was 6 o'clock, was it 5 o'clock? Whatever it was. I think maybe it was 5 o'clock. He calls me up immediately. Yeah, and I was from the yeshiva, and he told me over like a summary of my shiur. Anyway, okay, so this is a story, a very interesting story. Certain rabbi who collects money for yeshiva or whatever he has, and usually he goes to one particular person to stay. When he goes to whatever country he's going to, he stays with a person, and and that person usually gives him a donation. So what happened was, he says no. He told him this year he can't do it. He can't give him. He's in a very difficult financial state, and he can't give him. So the Rav says, it's okay, I'll stay with you, and doesn't matter. If you can't give me money, you can't give me money. Okay? He says, and he's starting giving me encouragement, trust in Hashem, things could change, could be much better than before even. Yep. He brings from Eov. He said Eov, that he lost everything and then he got back even double. So, he told him stories about I'm going to be talking. Like a lot of people feel, what, you always gave me money, now you can't give me money, like I'm not interested in you. Here he's taking a very big interest. Now it could be, it's based on a Garza told for the past. You know how much he did for him. So, he says, if you stand the test and trust in Hashem, there's something will happen good. So, okay. He told him, what's it? Yeah, he said, he says it's much worse than you even think. He says, I owe a lot of money. Yeah, and if people find out that I owe all this money, then nobody want to do business with me. They'll think you have no money. So the Rav says, I'll lend you money. Remember, this is the Rav that collects money. I'll lend you money. This is very interesting. He says, of course, the person was very surprised. He says, sometimes you give and sometimes you take. He says, where's he getting the money from, the Rav? He doesn't have money. It's the money that he's collecting, from the money he's collecting, for the sake of his organization. He says, it's not my money, and since you have been a donor in the past, you're entitled to get from that money. Yeah. Obviously, he knew he could do that. He's going to lend the money. Okay. So, he refused, the man refused. He says, I can't take a loan because I don't have any guarantors. And if people find out that I'm taking loans, it'll be a big problem for me. Yeah. He says, and who said he'll be able to pay it back? He says, I'm lending you money. Maybe you won't be able to pay it back. But the Rav continued, that you should agree. In the end, he did agree to take the loan, and he paid it back with yearly payments. He says in 15 years, he says, since the loan was given in a very honorable way, in the last year, he says, okay, and then, what it means to say is that it worked out in the end. He doesn't say this person became rich again or anything like that. Just shows that a person, would do such a thing. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, if he wants to leave, he could leave. Let's see, stories here. Okay. This is a very interesting story. There's a certain yeshiva, and there was a bacher that was known to be a ganav. He was stealing. So, he was a good boy. It wasn't like he wasn't a yeshiva bacher. He was a yeshiva bacher. But he had, somehow the Yitzhara got a hold of him, and he was stealing. So, you have to do something about it. You can't just let him steal. And they knew about it. The mashgiach knew about it. The other boys knew about it. But no, it's good. Like, they didn't right away try to embarrass him and make him feel bad, because you don't want to lose the boy in the yeshiva if they're going to be a little too tough with him. So, okay. You can't, on the one hand, you don't want to. Oh no, they said another reason why they don't want to confront him, because maybe he'll get worse. In other words, he'll give up the Yiddishkeit or something. Okay, so they approached the Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Steinman. Now, this boy learned in Rav Steinman's yeshiva. They approached him. One day, this boy was accompanying Rav Steinman on the way home, because he wanted to ask him a shayla. So he's a ganav, but he was into the learning, and so he wants to ask him a shayla. So Rav Steinman, they walked, and he answered him and everything like that. And he said, this is an unbelievable story. Only a great person Rav Steinman could do this. He says, I'm trying to, print my sfarim. I'm printing sfarim of my own, and I need people to donate money. And he says, I heard that you have money. Maybe you could help out. This is a bacher in the yeshiva. How the boy took it, I don't know. I heard you have money. So he says, and then the Rav left. It's like he didn't wait for an answer even. From that time, there were no more gnevas. Then, like the boy understood it. That's amazing. I don't know if you say it's Ruach HaKodesh, I don't know. Yeah. This story happened in Europe. Yeah, this is amazing. It's told by Rabbi Aaron Toysig. Aaron Toysig is somebody that I know, very important rabbi. He lives in Bnei Brak. Tell you that story about that. My son, my son got married. What year? 1991. Okay, it's a long time ago. So he got married in Bnei Brak. Right? My son is a Vishnitz Chassid, so my second son also. So I was going to speak at the Sheva. It was Shabbos Sheva Brachas. I was going to speak, and there was a certain sefer that I wanted in order to quote something from that sefer. This was a very special. I have these svarim, the pretty much unknown svarim. Like it was a certain Rav, he was nifter young, and his children, sons-in-laws and son, they put out a sefer with his divrei Torah in it. So it was always one Dvar Torah that always made a very big impression on me. So, but I didn't have the sefer with me. But I knew that this Rav, Aaron Toysig, lives near the place where we were in Bnei Brak. So I'll see, maybe I can borrow the sefer from him. They're like a few blocks away or something. So I had sent somebody to get the sefer. Sure enough, he gave it to me. So obviously, he was part of making the sefer. He had a copy, maybe more. So the story was a very interesting. He tells a story in this sefer about the Rabbi Menachem Mendel Vizhnitz, and one of the Vizhnitzer Rebbes was traveling around, and he went to the city of Kolomei. Now, Kolomei is in, I don't know what it's called today, but it was called Galicia in those days. My grandparents, Aleichem Hashalom, in the early 1900s, they came from Kolomei to America. So this Rav, he was making a Rosh Chodesh Suda, you see, where the, Rebbe travels around and he makes a Suda. So he makes a Rosh Chodesh. Now, there was a very great rabbi, but great rabbi. His name was Rav Hillel Kolameir. He was a very well-known rabbi. In the city of Kolomei, that's where he came to. And he decided to go and spectate, which is, they say, he's a very big rabbi. He wants to spectate. We'll see what it looks like at the Rebbe's Tish. That's the way the story goes. So he goes, and he's sitting on the side. So the Rebbe says, invited him, sit down, have something to eat. No, he said, I already had my Rosh Chodesh Suda, but I want to see what's going on. So he's watching the Rebbe with the Hasidim. See, and I don't know if everybody wanted to tell the story, because this was a great rabbi, but could be he had something in mind. So he's watching, and he says to the Rebbe, this great rabbi says to the Rebbe, these Hasidim, they're so much attached to you, every word that you say, everything. So, you make a tish, and reminds me, in almost 68 years ago, that was my first tish I ever went to. It was here in Yerushalayim. It was the base of the Ger Rebbe. So I remember the tish very well. I mean, since then I've been to other tishes, especially my sons are Hasidim. So when they doing like that particular Shabbos I'm talking about, when I was in Vizhnitz in Bnei Brak, so I went to the tish of the Rebbe, which if it was that one, it was a different one. They finished at 3 o'clock in the morning. So anyways, I went to this tish in Yerushalayim, and I noticed the Seder is like this. I remember this, from all those years ago. First, they drink a l'chaim. Rebbe gives out to each person a little drink. I think the important people he calls up by name, or somebody calls up by name. And the less important, they give him a little bit of a drink. And then, and then after that is a nigun. They sing, and after that was a short Var Torah. They did that with the wine, and they did it again with a little piece of tangerine. See, these days, 68 years ago, there wasn't so much food here in Israel. They didn't have big, they gave a little bit of wine, that was the tish. So that was my experience with the tish. Anyway, so this great rabbi said to the he said to the Rebbe, I see you have so much influence on these Hasidim, so why don't you give them some Musar? In other words, again, it's very nice, a little nigun, a little short Bar Torah. He says, the Rebbe gives him a whole speech. He says that, it's a very interesting point he's saying, the Satan, the Yitzhahara, Hamav is all one power. Now it says in the Torah, Hashem saw at the end on the sixth day, so everything was very good. So the different perushim what it means Tov Ma'od, and one of them is the Yitzhahara. The Yitzhahara, that's the Tov Ma'od. So why? Because that's it. We came into this world to be tested and to see if we're going to overcome the Yitzhahara. So he said that what happened? So you see that he was pretty successful. Other Marishon comes along, great person, Marishon, and he got him, with the snake, with the tree, and over the years, then he brings finally in the Beis Hamikdash. So he says, and he got the Yidden to do Averis and destroy the Beis Hamikdash. So he says we have to find a way. See, this is based on the Baal Shem Tov. To find a way to get around it. So he says we make a tish and we sing and we in Divrei Torah we eat a little bit. Somehow he gets to the people better that way than if we give him the straight musar. You got to be good and don't do these things. So that was a story I told at that time at the Sheva Brachas. So get back to what I was up to. Okay, yeah, this is it. Oh, so why that started? Because I'm quoted. Rabbi Aaron Toisig is the one who's telling the story. That rabbi that I got the sefer from. Okay, he's telling the story. It was in Europe. Now, it was a time like, I don't know if it was a war or whatever it was. There was Poland and there was Lithuania, 2 countries that were not, and it was like dangerous over there. So this person, a certain bacher from Poland, he wanted to learn in the Slobodka Yeshiva. Great. Today there's also a Slobodka Yeshiva in Bnei Brak. But Slobodka Yeshiva, that's where Rabbi Avigdor Miller learned in the Slobodka Yeshiva. So this boy from Poland came, and it was dangerous. He was serious nefesh. He finally got to the yeshiva, and he really got into the learning. This boy, mamish, like the highest levels, hasmada. So the Rosh Yeshiva, his name was the Samet Mislabodka. His name was Rav Nosson Zvi Finkel. There was a boy in Derech. How many? I think it was 3 greats. The boy in Derech was his great grandfather. But the truth is, I knew his great-grandfather from the Mir Yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael. Anyway, the Samet Mislabodka. So, mamish, every second he was learning. So one day the Rabbi, the Rosh Yeshiva, went over to this bacher and said, would you consider learning with my son? Okay. So, it was a big honor for him, and he agreed. One day, the Saba Slobodka said to his wife, he says, this boy is a very great, it's very fortunate he's learning with our son. And he said, if he's going to get married, to somebody in Poland, I'm going to send my son, to go to the wedding. Okay. So, a year passed, and the time came. Yeah. So, and he's learning very well. Okay, he gave him all kinds of bros, then he went away to get married. Okay. Now the Rebbe, he told that to the Rebbitzin. So time passed, and he's not sending the boy. So it's getting time close to the wedding. He says, you said you were going to send him? So he asked her, did I say that I'm going to send him no matter what? Or I just said, maybe I'll send him. Okay. So she said, you did not make it a definite thing. So he says, Baruch Hashem, he says, if I would have said that I'm going to send him no matter what, then I'd have to fulfill my promise. But it's only a possibility. I decided not to send him. Okay, so the Rebbitzin asked him, what changed? Yeah, so he answered the following. In order, this is very interesting, to go to a wedding, in order to go, he's got to pass the border. That's dangerous. It's life, danger of life. to go to pass the border. Yeah. And he says, but I knew that because that bacher was such a big tzaddik and a masmid, and he never stops learning, he'll be able to protect himself and protect my son. That's what he said. He says, but I saw it, when the boy became a chassan and he was in the yeshiva, his friends came over to him and they wanted to wish him mazel tov. Usually, so what he's supposed to say? They say mazel tov, he's supposed to say, Bruchim Tiyu, Imir Tzashem Bayu. This is an important point that, he's supposed to answer that. And I'll tell over another thing on that. But anyway, so he was very cold. He didn't pay too much attention. So he says, now what's interesting is that, again, it's less than 68 years ago, when I first met Rabbi Avigdor Miller. And so he was from Slobodka, Avigdor Miller. And in Slobodka they gave Vadim. Vadim means, like Musa Shmuzin. So Avigdor Miller gave us, we're a whole group of people. We traveled 1 hour and 3/4 each way to go see Avigdor Miller. He spoke to us maybe 20 minutes to a half hour. And we went back another hour and 3/4. So and the first time we went to him, what was the subject? Smiling. That was known. In Slobodka and yeshivas in Europe, it was known to smile. I mean, it's Chazal. It says in Torah. White teeth from milk. So the Chazal say, if you whiten your teeth, meaning you smile at somebody, it's better than giving him a glass of milk. That's Chazal. So that was Rabbi Avigdor Miller gave me that. That was the shmooze. And so I'm saying it's come from Slobodka. So he said that the Adam Slobodka said this boy, although he was a big masmid, but if he acts that way, he didn't act in a proper way towards the other boys. It's meaning you could be a masmid, you have to act like a proper person. So he says maybe he was so involved in the learning that he didn't pay attention to the boys. Like he even gave him like the schus. Okay. He says a boy that he says his Torah can't be a shomer. Understand? So therefore he didn't send his son, because it would have been dangerous. Understand? Very nice. Those are a story. What's this one about the 50? Oh, this is interesting stuff. Oh, it's already time. Okay. Rosh, gotta place boys for Shabbos. Anyway.